Hey guys, Jacob with Jacob Comics. Happy New Comic Book Day, November 22nd, 2023. And the day I'm probably going to be posting this Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you guys are all sat around the table with your family and friends, having, whatever you guys have, a ham, turkey, lamb, whatever you guys are having. I hope you're having a happy Thanksgiving and a great new comic book day. As well as always, I hope you guys found all your books in your cubby, on the new comic book shop wall, or mailed to you. However you guys get your comics, I hope you found all the comics you were looking for this week. I know I did, here in the loud, mysterious black bag. Before we get dived into that, as usual, do want to remind you guys to like, comment, subscribe if you do like this kind of content. Help spread me out in the YouTube space so more comic people find me. And we can all hang out together and talk about the new comics every week. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get dived into the books I got this week. I got 5 books this week. Super excited to talk about them. I picked up a couple of foils as well that are super cool. We might be grading those. I think they came out, I think they're pretty nice, so didn't want to handle them a bunch, but maybe one day we'll be unboxing those in a a CGC unboxing. Go ahead, if you watched last time's episode, I got the new foils here from my friend up on display, and we'll start off with the number 5 book of the week for me. Immortal XMen number 17. Super cool Jean Grey cover. The inside of the book is actually, at least for me, one of the better issues of Immortal XMen. It did land itself in the 5 spot, so it didn't blow my mind or anything, but we're getting some answers as to where all the X-Men are in this desert that they're in, and that's kind of been expunged upon a bit more. And unfortunately, I'm not exactly happy with the answers that we got. I was hoping it would be a bit more realistic, maybe they got sucked through a transporter to some actual other planet or something like that. I was hoping it was a bit more realistic than it was. But yeah, they're kind of stuck in this limbo, for lack of a better word. They didn't call it limbo, but when they explained what it was, I was like, that's limbo. So anyways, we've got all the excuse me. We've got all the X-Men stuck in there, stuck in limbo. Yeah. I don't know, guys. That side of the story is playing itself out not quite as interestingly as I feel like it could have played itself out. But there's some interesting stuff, like Apocalypse. When Apocalypse showed up, I'm gonna, obviously he was on the last cover of the last issue, so it's not exactly a spoiler. But when Apocalypse showed up, I felt like that kind of made things interesting, or at least a little more interesting than it had been. That helped. As far as the A plot, what I would consider to be the A plot of this book now, I kind of see that as the B plot. There's an A, B, and C plot going on through the last 5 issues, so you don't get much meat each issue. That's kind of what I'm starting to parse this particular run of Immortal X-Men, is that that was why I've been reviewing it so low and have kind of been hard on it, is just you don't get a lot every issue. You get the three kind of stories that we're telling. I mean, we're going down this path that we've been going down, and at least I'm kind of understanding what that path is, you know what I'm saying? And I'm getting the story now a little more than I was before. It felt a bit jumbled, and yeah, I don't know, man. The art in this issue is outstanding. Well, I gotta give it to his last name's Rip. Apologize, I don't remember the whole name. But yeah, the art in this book has been awesome, and that, at least for me, for this issue, was definitely a saving grace, because I didn't find too much in the story that I was super interested in, outside of let's go ahead and pull back to like the talk about the A story, that at least what I feel like is the A story that's been going on. And that's actually kind of interesting. I'm gonna go into some slight spoilers here, guys. So, fast forward a couple minutes, if you don't want to be spoiled for Immortal XMen number, what is it, 17. So yeah, like in the A story, we've got Professor X, and he's been on this island kind of battling, Orcus and other people that have been coming to the island to try to mine it for its resources, right? And what's more interesting though is that Sinister is also seemingly stuck on this island, or at least like it's hard to tell. At least for me, how I read it was that this was like a computerized hologram of Sinister. Like, I don't think it was actually Sinister. It seemed very see-through and all kind of like this blue color, but it's Sinister, right? And him and Professor X are talking, and so I think it's like the brain of Mr. Sinister that's somehow still alive. Like, his body's dead, but he uploaded his brain into this computer that's still on the island, right? And so he's talking with Charles, and he starts basically like telling Charles, like, look, man, this is not good. My doppelgangers are actually evil. Like, you thought I was evil? Like, no, my doppelgangers are super evil. And so he lets Professor Xavier like into his head, into his thoughts. And Xavier, goes through all of Mr. Sinister's thoughts and is like, oh, wow, okay. I don't trust you. I still don't trust you. I can tell you that from what I saw in your mind, that everything you're going to tell me is a lie, and that I shouldn't trust any of it. So why should I? But I also found out, you're not telling a lie about these doppelgangers. This stuff's true. And so he's kind of left with this: do I finish off Mr. Sinister for good now that I know where he is, where his computer, where his last remnants of a Sinister clone may be, right? Or do I partner up with Mr. Sinister to help for him and me together to help take down the Sinister doppelgangers, which, if you didn't know, one of the Sinister doppelgangers is basically like one of the heads of Orcus. And yeah, it's just a whole story. And additionally, there's been a plant. I'm not going to tell you who it is right now, but there's been a plant Mr. Sinister clone. This is the only hint I'll give you. It's been a new character that's been revealed within the last 2 to 3 years. Is actually been a Sinister plant this whole entire time, and that's kind of revealed towards the end of this issue as well. And for all that, that's where I was like, okay, this story is really actually kind of starting to come together for me, at least one of the threads of the story. And so I got to give it that on that. I was kind of interested in that whole direction and would like to see Professor Xavier and whatever other mutants he can get on his side, along with maybe an evil Mr. Sinister, take down these Mr. Sinister clones that are pretty bad. So let's move into the book, the fourth book of the week, Incredible Hulk number 6. Not a whole lot to say about this issue. Super breezy read. Like, reads real quick. You could probably read through this book in 10 to 15 minutes, which sometimes, is a little bit, you're like, all right, you feel a little ripped off. With this art, and with kind of what it's giving us, as far as what's going to happen in next issue, I was kind of okay with the way they told this story, how it was super breezy. Really enjoyed it, actually. Was a blast of the 15 minutes it took me to read it. Really loved the art. Main thing I do want to point this out, spoiler light here. This is the first appearance of this World War II Ghost Rider. And so this might be a key that pops off, guys. If any copies are still at your local comic shop, I'd recommend this as one you pick up to read, and maybe it's a cool little spec book in the future, or for the next couple of months it might sell reasonably. I don't know if it's gonna hold that value for years, but I kind of feel like this book could pop off a little bit, like the Wolverine book, if you've seen recently, has kind of been hit. I don't think it's gonna be as hitting as fire as that, $30 sales for a $4 cover price book, but I do think that this one could see some sales in 10, 15, 20. I think it's a cool book. I think there's a cool character that they introduced in here. And I want to know more about that character. And so if that tells you anything, like, I think they did a good job of introducing this new character. Hulk kind of stumbles upon him, and not really spoilers. I think we all kind of figured that's what would happen. It looks like we're going to get a little fight between Hulk and this new Ghost Rider in issue number 7. So that should definitely be some fun as well. We will go ahead and move on to the number 3 book of the week for me. I've got Wolverine 39. Wolverine, this kind of seems like it's starting a new story arc for Wolverine here, kind of his Fall of X story arc, if you will. Like, what is Wolverine gonna do while all the mutants are gone? And as you can see, he ends up hanging out with Black Panther and showing up in Wakanda. So that's basically where we're going here, is like, and man, I'm telling you, like, Percy's a really good man. Is that actually? Oh, wow, this guy's on fire. Okay, so in issue 5, it came out this week, Immortal XMen had art by Rip, RYP. And so does this Wolverine 39. And it's amazing. Like, this guy is killing it right now. His art is on fire. And he's got 2 books coming out this week. I can't believe I just realized that. Even though I knew both were by Rip. Wow. But that's cool. One of the things I wanted to highlight about this book was that the art in this book is awesome. I love the way this guy draws Black Panther and Wolverine. Like, fire. Absolute fire. Storyline right now, you can kind of trust Percy with this Wolverine X-Force story. I'm just being honest. He's had 2 years for me of great stories, and this kind of continues that. What is Wolverine gonna do while the Fall of X is going on, while all his friends are lost? You know what I mean? And what we see is that Wolverine's mad, man. He's upset. And he wants to take Orcus down for what they did to all his friends and family, right? He wants to take them down. And so the first thing that he starts doing is he starts trailing one of these Orcus operatives. Actually, one I would call her a general in the Orcus army. She's been a character that's been in a bunch of the storylines. So it's not just a new character. So he's kind of following basically what amounts to, Cobra Commander's side character. I'm not coming up with a good, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's Superboy to Superman, or, this new Spider-Boy to Spider-Man. She's kind of like the next in command, basically, behind this sinister clone. And so he's trying to take Orcus down, and he ends up following her into Black Panther comics, is the best way to describe it. And we kind of get a little bit of what's going on in the current Black Panther run, which I thought was really cool too, how we've got a character showing up who has his current ongoing run, but he's showing up in the Wolverine book, and Percy felt it important enough to probably confer with the current writer of Black Panther and check out, and that's cool. Like we if you're reading Black Panther and Wolverine, you know what I'm saying? I feel like these two are really going to fit together and deliver a really strong storyline. Because I had a lot of fun with this story. We go into Black Panther's world for a while. I don't think it sold me on Black Panther comics, but I had a lot of fun. At the end of the day, Wolverine is on his mission to continue trying to take Orcus down. And he seems to be one step closer. We kind of got a little bit of a victory in this issue, and that was fun. Let's move on to my number 2 issue of the week for me. Amazing Spider-Man number 38. We get the start of the gang war in this one, and the continuation of the Wreck Rap story. So it kind of the Wreck Rap story goes about the first half of this book, and then that's over, right? And then we get basically the beginnings of the gang war story at the second half of this book. So if you were going to read gang war, unfortunately, I feel like you kind of need to read this tie-in. There's some pretty big character arc drops that happen in the second half of this book that really set up the story super well. I am just having a blast with Wells' run. I don't think it started off really strong. I think the first 12 issues, he was still kind of trying to, fix a lot of hanging loose threads and storylines that have been hung out for a long time. And, interestingly enough, we're actually hitting on an old storyline that's from many years ago in Amazing Spider-Man 700's run. And, into the 800s, but we're bringing a character back from there, and there's just a lot of meat on this bone. I really feel like Zeb Wells has done his research, has read like the last 10 years of Spider-Man comics, and is pulling things and pieces and hanging loose plot threads that have been hanging for 7 years, sometimes 10 years, and he's finally kind of answering on promises that were made 10 years ago. And I feel like you can't fault Zeb for that. Like he is doing a really good job. And I know a lot of people have given this run a lot of flack, and a lot of hate has gone Zeb Wells' way. And there has been some weird story beats in here. Mary Jane and Peter breaking up. A lot of it hasn't exactly worked for me. But recently, over the last, I want to say, year, since we kind of ended that Mary Jane and Peter breaking up and we moved, and when I look back on that, I feel like he was able to pull a lot of characters from the past, Spider Totem lore and stuff like that, to help wrap his story up. And it's just really, honestly intelligent, guys. Like, the way that he's weaving this story is not something that I would have come up with. I think the average Joe would have come up with, and I think he's coming up with some really interesting and compelling story arcs here. That's, hey, just is what it is. I think this gang war is going to be really fun. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Nightwing. Got Nightwing 108 in the number 1 spot. Bam! It's great to see Nightwing back in the number 1 spot. This issue was a super blast. I love the art. Tom Taylor on the writing has been amazing. We have kind of a conglomerative art team on this book, but I really felt like they kind of captured the essence of what has been working in the Nightwing title with the paneling and layouts. And I really did appreciate this issue. In fact, I honestly didn't realize until just now that it wasn't the artist it wasn't the main artist for the book that he actually took this week off. So props to the backup team. You guys had me fooled. I didn't even notice we changed art teams. Thumbs up on that one. I gave it the number 1, thinking actually partially too that the art was such a great revelation in this issue that I sort of felt like we had our traditional artist back, which Forgive me, I'm blanking on his name right now. I don't know why. But so we've got this story going on. This is part 3 of this pirate story, is the best way to kind of describe what's going on. And I am not a fan of pirates. It's never been one of the things that super interests me. But there's something about the art in this one, and something about the way Tom Taylor was telling the story. Maybe the fact that I like the Nightwing character. I super had a blast with this issue. There was a page turn that I had where, you know, I was still like, oh, where are we going with this? And we kind of roll upon. I'm gonna give a little bit of a preview of it. You know, it's not a spoiler really, but we kind of roll upon this pirate city that's in the middle of nowhere, seemingly. You kind of go through a cave, and there's some fog, and I like the way it was kind of drawn, like, oh wow, you know, what's the reveal? And then we get to this city, and it's not your average pirate city. It's kind of this futuristic pirate city, and I thought that was really cool. I like the way they drew it, and I kind of think this run. What made this issue so good too for me, and gonna go again. It's hard to talk about some of these without like light spoilers. So Nightwing has had a relationship with the captain of this ship that we're going on this adventure, right? This is an old flame, basically, to just cut to the point. Yeah, obviously he's with Oracle now, and so, you know, he's claimed he can't, but there's still this interesting story that is being played out where, you know, they kind of both didn't know. He didn't know she was a pirate captain. She knew he was Nightwing, but there's some things about him that she didn't know. Namely, at the time he was shot in the head, and he was Rick Grayson, if you guys remember that storyline. And so, you know, it was almost kind of like she was dating another person, but it was him. And so there's some interesting character moments played out there. And they kind of make, you know, I didn't read the Grayson run, so I don't remember this character from before. But they've really kind of endeared this new Pirate Girl character to me. And towards the end of the issue, we see something dramatic possibly happen with her. And is Nightwing going to be able to save her? Is Nightwing going to be able to save the day? Or is she dead? Like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? And so that kind of what had me like, wow, I really like this issue. I had a lot of fun with it. It just felt fun, man. I love the art style. I can't complain with Nightwing usually. And I'm glad to see it hit back in the #1 spot with a really fun issue. Well, that's what I have today, guys. As always, if you did watch this far into the video, enjoy this kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, helps the YouTube algorithm. As always, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great, happy Thanksgiving today. We'll see you guys next time, and have a great day. Yeah, at least like where we could be going, or at least I know the road that we're going down now, and what that road is. You know what I'm saying? I love editing. I actually love editing, apparently. Do not disturb on the phone.